Have you guys all heard the Rachel Nichols audio? Have you guys all, Gavin, Gavin, you've heard it some.
Yes.
Okay. Ramos, you've
I
played
have,
it and
yes.
previewed. Okay. Bayer, have you?
Yes.
Okay. Bayer, let me ask you, you've been in business the longest, along with John and me. Your general opinion of what Rachel Nichols told Mendelsohn, who's like the advisor to LeBron James.
It sounded like she was very protective of her job.
Of her turf, really.
Yes.
You know? Okay, so let me play you. Here's a portion of it. It's a leaked private audio, but I believe she was mic'd up at the time, but a leaked private audio of a conversation with an advisor who's close to LeBron James.
He said to me, hey, instead of hosting the NBA Finals, why don't you do Doris's silent reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for?
For her to do it full time.
For Maria to do the hosting full time.
Yeah.
So, I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that. And I'm trying to figure out how to just, my thing is I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
Ooh, spicy. Ramos, what do you think when you hear it?
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I think it's just hey, I've been doing this for a long time, and I just, this is what I do, and I just don't want anybody else coming in and just taking it over just off the whim.
Okay, so just so we're aware, nothing of what Rachel Nichols said is wrong. Okay? Rachel Nichols has been covering and devoted herself to covering the NBA since she returned to ESPN. And previous to her leaving ESPN, I think she was on CNN for a while, right? She was covering the NBA. This is kind of what she's done. She has hosted The Jump, which is an NBA-only show that leads you into other things in the afternoons. And she's not wrong, where in terms of experience and credibility within the sport, it's not close. It doesn't necessarily matter because I also think that the idea they were getting pressure, she's saying they're getting pressure to put somebody who's black. Remember, at the time in which this is taking place, it's in the bubble last year. There are all these Black Lives Matter protests going on in the outside world. I don't think any of that was a lie. There was zero lies told. It was just, is it okay to say it, and to say it about a coworker? And is there anything wrong with it? Gavin, what's your take on it?
It's basically what they said. She's worked really hard to be where she's at, and she doesn't want, while she wishes her the best, she doesn't want her job to be the reason that Maria Taylor, gets vaulted in. And I also think a lot of people in the media talk about this about other people in the media. So I don't think this is as rare as it's being made out to be.
Yes, I have a close friend in the media who is I'll never forget when I left ESPN. I left there, and the people who were there were like, hey, man, anytime you want to come back, you come back. All the people were so man, this is – I was there for 10 years. I have long-lasting, incredible friendships. And I was gone for a couple years, and there was a couple of people who I barely worked with, but they had said a couple of not-so-flattering things about me, and I was just I was really hurt by it. When I was there, I worked my ass off, and I enjoyed it, and I tried to work with people, and I wasn't perfect. I was like anybody who's young, and you're trying to climb the ladder, but I never to the detriment, or at least it wasn't ever my desire for anybody else to not succeed. I'm just climbing at the next rung like anybody else. And what happens is when you leapfrog people, they get bitter. That's what happens. Turns out when you leave, even if you leave on good terms, they'll get bitter as well, which is what I've discovered that in our business, and I think most businesses, everybody hates on everybody. They just do. So yesterday, Rachel Nichols spent, was it 10 seconds or was it not quite that? Did you guys see the mashup where they said they had Giannis dribbling at the free throw line, his free throw routine, and Rachel Nichols and her faux apology to see which one was longer, and the free throw routine was actually longer. Did you see that one, Buyer? That one's a great one.
I did not. I thought it was 27 seconds for the open. I thought that is what I saw, but maybe her part of her actual apology was shorter than a Giannis free throw attempt.
Okay, here's the audio. Take a listen.
So the first thing they teach you in journalism school is don't be the story. And I don't plan to break that rule today or distract from a fantastic finals. But I also don't want to let this moment pass without saying how much I respect, how much I value our colleagues here at ESPN, how deeply, deeply sorry I am for disappointing those I hurt, particularly Maria Taylor, and how grateful I am to be part of this outstanding team.
Okay, so apparently Maria Taylor had told, this is per the New York Times article, that she wasn't going to do the NBA Finals if Rachel was on the NBA Finals. And so ESPN removed her from the NBA Finals and put Malika Andrews, who is a sideline reporter and an NBA reporter, in her place. Okay, so look, here we're back in the kind of same place as we were with Jalen Rose. Like Jalen Rose, there was no discipline when he said that the only reason Kevin Love was on Team USA was tokenism because he's a white guy, whereas Rachel Nichols says basically the only reason that Maria Taylor is hosting for the NBA Finals is because she's a black woman, and there's discipline there. Like there is no balance there. There is no balance. I'll just, like, if we're just being completely and totally candid, there's a good portion of our industry which knows, like, if you're a middle-aged white guy, it's going to be harder for you. You got to be really, really good. And a lot of that is paying the penance for the past. In the 60s and 70s and maybe even the 80s, there was a time in which it was harder to get a job if you were black. It just was. And so in our need, which is reasonable, like to see more people who look like the rest of the world on TV, sometimes people are going to go by the wayside. And you're not going to know until you give somebody an opportunity. There's some irony there with Rachel, who I think Rachel's good. Do I think she's super dynamic on TV? No, but she's very, very good with the league as an interviewer. The part she missed is, and this is the reality of it, it's not just ESPN making those calls. They make those calls in concert with the NBA. So there's a pretty good chance that Rachel thought she was in good with the league because she'd been doing it forever, and then all of a sudden they pick somebody else, and she's furious. And look, we all get mad when something doesn't go our way at work. Something doesn't go our way at work. And there's a certain how you handle it. There's also the like, this is a real world thing where in an effort to appear to be more diverse, you're actually being more exclusive against white people. Right? And like, I get it. There is a need for more diversity on TV than there used to be when we were children. But we seem to have fulfilled that need mostly, haven't we? It could be just about how good somebody is. It's bad to send the tape to the New York Times. That's a fireable offense. I'm not surprised that Rachel gets, publicly kind of humiliated, raked over the coals. Part of it was she sounds awful in that. I mean, look, Rachel's dad is Mike Nichols, a famous director, and there's no doubt that was some help in getting her into the industry. We all use whatever opportunity. Like, look, I used the fact that I played basketball to get in the industry. I didn't go to take journalism schools. Maria was an athlete, and she's used the fact that she's young and relates to athletes, and she's very pretty, and like all these things. You use whatever benefits you can to get opportunities, and then you got to kick ass when you get those opportunities. But this one is ugly. Just ugly. And I think the disproportionate discipline is really interesting. And I get, like, we have a rule at Fox, it's the same rule at CBS and at ESPN, and it's weird because most athletes, Like, you want to talk a little trash to us, whatever. We want to, like, we're okay. We take feedback differently. Most broadcasters were not athletes. They do not take negative feedback well at all. And they definitely don't take somebody else at their place of work saying anything negative like that gets out about them. Most people don't, but especially non-athletes. Athletes are like, look, everybody hates on everybody. I'll figure it out. Byer, so now that you know both sides, you know what ESPN's done, are we good? Do they just got to go back to their sides?
Well,
what do you think?
And not to give their TV schedule, but there was a report from, I believe, the New York Post that the jump has been canceled today. So all of these actions that are taking place to keep the focus on the NBA Finals, I'm not sure if those are necessarily, if that's going to be the case. I think that this is going to linger for a while. And so I'm curious to see what the actual next steps are once this NBA season concludes. But I don't think they're good because it sure doesn't seem like it. And
Not good.
no, it seems like, Maria Taylor's got her future to figure out as well. But, yeah, I think this is going to be around for a little while longer than they would have hoped.
It is fascinating. I mean, it is fascinating. I mean, look, the same. By the way, the same trash talking happens with guys who get opportunities as well. Just it's not. Women have not cornered the market on being catty. They are very. I've worked with a lot of super talented women that are super secure in their place at work, and I think a lot of it is how they are. They feel like they are judged by men, which puts them on edge. And when anybody's on edge, they're a little bit sharper with what things they say about people. But it's not that. Let's not pretend like this is just a woman thing. Dudes talk trash about dudes all the time. Can you believe they're using that dude for that show? Are you kidding me right now? Oh, they're only using him because he's cheap. Oh, they're only using him because he's local. Oh, they're only using him because he played at this conference. Oh, you know what I mean? Like this is. Sorry, it's the nature of the business. And yes, go ahead, Ramos.
My only question would be leaking audio. That seems to be the main to me as a.
They're not good.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, not that it's good because remember Donald Sterling. Was it Donald Sterling?
Sterling,
yeah,
yeah.
He was leaked audio too, so he wasn't saying it like in some around 20,000 people but it was. So people had a problem. I'm not saying that what he did was right because obviously being what he did was not right. The way he ran his team and stuff. But I mean, leaking audio and without someone's knowledge of it.
And it's
seems
not
to
like
me,
it was last week, where it like hit the channels. Like there's somebody sat on this for the opportunity.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be my only thought about that negatively would be that someone leaked audio that.
Oh, you don't do that. You have to go and confront that person and go like, hey,
yeah,
I heard this stuff. Like, what do you want me to do with it? Do you tell? If Maria's a friend of yours, do you tell her?
If you hear the audio? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is, you absolutely tell somebody, I think, if you hear the audio.
Yeah.
I don't know if you play the audio for them. I don't know. It's a hard one.
And I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but I believe that the person that leaked the audio or went to was suspended, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, well.
Yes, but once you let the genie out of that bottle, that's a bad. It does no level of suspension. That's a fireable offense.
My other thought on this was, wasn't this discussed about last year? I mean,
yes.
This was a story we just hadn't heard.
Yes, but the audio never got out.
Right. Okay.
Until now. Right before the NBA Finals.
And in the middle of her contract dispute, right? That's the other story is her contract is about to be up, and this is a negotiating tactic.
Yeah, one thing that here, I'll just give you I've been in contract stuff with ESPN, and I thought they were terribly fair with me when I left there. And I would just say this, that the crazy part about the numbers that are being thrown around is there isn't a person like Tony Romo got this crazy, crazy salary to stay at CBS, right? But Tony wouldn't have gotten that money unless I think ESPN offered him a similar amount. You're not, no one's just going to go like, hey, how much do you want to be paid? Oh, $10 million? No problem. Hey, Jimmy, we give him $10 million? No, you have to have leverage. Like, they don't just offer you a bunch of money. Everyone in this business only makes what they make because somebody was willing to pay them, but more importantly, it's because somebody else was willing to pay them a similar amount, maybe even more. You usually have to pay somebody a little bit more to get them to leave their current job. You got to make it a little bit beneficial. And then the way it works actually in broadcasting, your contract, they have the right to match. I just don't, I can't see that money being out there for her. So that is one of those, at some point they're going to call your bluff. When everybody else is taking pay cuts and you're like, yeah, I'd like to make 8X of what I'm making right now. And they're like, yeah, where's that leverage come from? Right? It's not that she's not talented. It's that, especially in her position, and her position is as a host. A host is technically, especially when she doesn't do play-by-play, she doesn't have a pod. She doesn't do sports radio. She's just a host and a sideline reporter. I'm not saying she's not good at it. I'm saying that's what she is. Okay? And, look, Reese Davis Chris Fowler was the host of Game Day, which is their most successful show. He didn't make anywhere near that. But Chris Fowler was able to get the play-by-play gig on Saturday Night Football because he had interest from elsewhere. And then Reese Davis filled in, and now he's able to, everything he's been able to get is because he had interest elsewhere. Because Reese can do play-by-play. He went to Alabama. He has SEC ties. At the time, I'm sure CBS offered him a deal. And then ESPN's like, all right, what do we got to do to get you to stay? That's the way it works. I don't feel like she's not going to host a TNT. They got Ernie. And a secondary host at TNT, and even Ernie, he didn't make $8 million a year. But that whole thing is a mess, boy. Have fun with that. Yikes.